The Your Mark on the World show is made possible by our sponsors, including Clean Energy Advisors.
Welcome to Your Mark on the World, bringing you another changemaker with champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. I'm a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. And we have two really special guests today with us. We have Luni Libes and Matt Eldridge, who are the founders of InvestorFlow.org, a nonprofit organization set up to facilitate impact investments in startups that have a social mission or purpose, social ventures. Matt, Luni, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're thrilled to have you there and grateful that you would take the time to be with us. Luni, why don't you take just a second and give us the overview for InvestorFlow?
Okay. All right. Big problem in impact investing, right? The new idea that you can put your money into places that do good in the world, not just make the most money possible. But the big problem is that you can put your money in anything in the world to do good, and that's probably not something in your hometown. So there are impact investors spread out all around the world, and when they find something they like, well, there's the trouble of finding something they like in the first place. When they find something they like, the problem is, how do you find enough fellow investors to make the deal happen? And so it's not just about where the money's being invested, but it's also what sector it's being invested in, whether it's going into food and ag or clean tech or global health or one of the other 17 different categories that are out there. And what stage that investment's in, and how much money you write, you spend, and what ticket size is what it's called. How big a check do you write versus others? All these things come together to mean that you probably don't know 5 other people that would invest in the deal. And these kind of things, when they show up, they need 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 investors. And so putting together that's called a syndicate is really hard to do these days. So it's hard for the entrepreneurs, it's hard for the fund managers, and it's frustrating to the investors who find a deal they want to invest in and then jump in and find that they can't help either.
Now, one of the interesting things you're doing, and I'll ask Matt maybe to respond to this, to give him a chance here to participate in this discussion, but Matt, one of the interesting strategies is that the platform is designed like a lot of crowdfunding platforms, except, and this is a really big except, the deals can't be posted by the entrepreneurs looking for capital. They have to be posted by other investors. How does that work, and why have you chosen that strategy?
Thanks, Devin. Yeah, that's a really important part of how we believe we're different and what's needed in the market. When we first got started, we took a look at other sites that are out there, about 40 some odd crowdfunding platforms. Most were not, in our view, very effective. They would put up a lot of deals, and often those wouldn't be visited by investors or acted upon. And we saw the ones that were having the most success were those where actual investors were sharing with other investors deals that they had already committed to. They'd already done the due diligence, they'd already committed, and in their own words, they were sharing why it mattered to them. And that's what we wanted to replicate on InvestorFlow.org, and that's what we're seeing some good success with.
So what kind of traction are you getting so far, Luni?
All right, so we're 5 months in. We launched in January. We're seeing a little more than, on average, we're seeing a little more than 1 investor per day, every day. And most interestingly, it's a mix of individuals, so angel investors, family offices, funds, foundations, wealth advisors, other impact groups that join in mass, like they'll join as a single entity. And a few other assorted random investors. So far, we consider that to be way faster than expected.
Yeah, what is the geographic dispersion of the investors who've signed up, Matt?
They're all over the place, Devin. We have investors on 6 continents from about just over 25 countries so far. So there's really quite a range, as Luni said, both in terms of investor type as well as where they're located.
Now, you and I both know what's going to happen when this story goes live, and that is that entrepreneurs are going to want to get their deals on your platform. What's the strategy you'd recommend, Luni, to get someone's, for an entrepreneur to get his deal on your platform?
I think that happened on day 3. Yeah, maybe day 2. It happens a few times a week. We have a nice simple reply to them, which is, sorry you're not invited. But if you have a lead investor or a champion investor, then tell them about this platform and have them list your deal. That's it. We put one small hurdle in front, which is find someone who loves you and have them talk about it.
Yeah. Now, are the investors required to be accredited investors to participate in the platform?
They are not necessarily. We welcome investors from across the board. It's important, I think, to distinguish between the importance of accredited investors in the United States taking part in deals that are happening, and then internationally, accredited investors, the definition isn't as critical because by definition, accredited investors are U.S. persons. And so in other domiciles, it is not a requirement. In the United States, actually globally, we stay out of the particulars of a deal. What we do is we see our role as being really a facilitator in helping connect a lead investor with others who share the same interests and want to co-invest. And after they express interest in a deal that's shared, we let them take it from there.
So, Luni, under what exemption from registration are most of these securities being offered to your investors?
To key on the word most there, so we've floated, I think, 12, 14 deals so far. Most are not American, and therefore there is no exemption needed. They're not seeking money in the United States. Of the ones that are American, they're just using the old-fashioned Reg D, right? The Pre-Jobs Act Reg D.
The 506B, where you can actually have a few non-accredited investors participate in the deal, right? And
that's a debatable topic. Let's not go down that path. To go back like 4 questions, one more thing that sets investor flow apart is that when a deal is put on the network, we do not blast it to everyone who's an investor in the network. So it'll show up on the website, but we don't expect anyone to ever come to our website either. It's also a difference. What we do is we have asked each investor, what geographies do you invest in? What sectors do you invest in? What ticket size do you do? What stages do you invest in, right? These kind of questions. And then we only send them the deals that match. So if an American company comes along and tries to raise money, then that deal does not get sent to a non-accredited investor. And if an African company comes along raising money, then it only gets sent to those who are interested in investing in Africa. And when an Australian deal comes along, it only gets sent to people who are interested in Australia, and so forth.
Interesting. Well, you mentioned that you had 14 deals. Did you say close?
No, floating through the system.
Floating through the system. And so have you had your first close yet?
I don't think any of them have closed. Again, we've only been around for 5 months. Most of these deals are early stage deals. Not all. Some of them are growth stage. Some are not even in that asset class. But no, it typically takes a bit longer than that to get to close in this space.
Matt, how long? How would a new investor that reads about this and is interested, how would he or she sign up?
Great. We have a really short and confidential survey that they fill out as step 1. It takes less than 5 minutes. They share some information about themselves, what they're interested in, specifically what geography, what sector, what ticket size, and what company stage, among a few other things. But what it does is it helps us to narrow down and eliminate the noise for what they would receive. So they can essentially create a profile that allows them to receive only those deals that really fit their interests.
Interesting. And where do you see this going, Luni? What do you think what's the goal for investorflow.org?
All right, so we have 157 or so investors signed up. In the first 5 months, our next goal is to get to 1,000. So we think at somewhere between here and 1,000, we'll hit a critical mass where when there's a deal posted, there will always be someone interested, or nearly always someone interested. And we're already floating more than one deal a week, but not everyone's receiving a deal a week. So somewhere between here and 1,000, we'll get to that stage where there's a lot of deals floating by. And we also see between now and then an even broader definition of impact investing on the network, meaning not just early stage private equity deals, but also some real estate deals and clean tech, solar deals and opportunities in green real estate and other asset classes. So that this truly impact investing over every dollar.
Wow. This is really an interesting innovation in financing impact. It's really kind of exciting, and I'm really grateful you take the time to share it with us. I want to just ask you guys a couple of more personal questions, because I'm always interested in what social entrepreneurs and impact investors are thinking. But Matt, here you are, a revered and admired guy in the space. Who do you look up to? Who do you admire?
It's funny, Devin. I was just guest lecturing at my daughter's middle school this week, and early in my career, I started off in the nonprofit sector, working for an NGO, doing voter education in South Africa, and I happened to be there during the country's transition to democracy. And I guess, being there, seeing people like Nelson Mandela speaking about the opportunity to transform society, I think really inspired me to find ways to do that in my career. And so I'm excited about InvestorFlow, because I think we're continuing to find ways of transforming society through businesses that are doing good.
That's excellent. Now, Luni, you could be doing a lot of things. Why have you chosen to focus on social entrepreneurship?
Oh, different question. All right. I do a lot of things, actually. Everything I do, though, is wrapped around this idea that we have a ton of problems in the world, and not all, but most of them can be solved with for-profit companies. And most of them will only be solved with for-profit companies because only for-profits can scale up to billions of customers. And so that is why I do everything that I do.
Interesting. Now, Matt, what is your superpower?
That's a great question. I think that my superpower is a combination of relating to people, listening and understanding what's needed, and having an eye toward systems that are useful in accomplishing goals.
Well, Luni, what's yours?
Got the same question. All right. I get things done. This is what people tell me is odd about me or different. I can get more done than teams of people entirely.
Well, that is a very superpower. So I congratulate you. Now, I want to thank you both for taking the time to come. But Matt, maybe you take a minute before we wrap up and just tell people how they can learn more about InvestorFlow.org.
Thanks, Devin. No, I appreciate it. The easiest way to find out is to go to our website, which is InvestorFlow.org.
Surprise.
Surprise. On the site, we have a contact us form, and anyone who'd like to express interest can, and we will follow up immediately with ways that they can get involved.
Oh, fantastic. Well, again, Luni, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. We wish you every success in scaling up this new source of impact capital.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Let's do some good. Clean Energy Advisors creates investment opportunities in the renewable energy sector that provide clients with predictable income, preservation of capital, and positive impact. Clean Energy Advisors is committed to providing clients with investment opportunities with both market rates of return and measurable impact.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was recorded via Google Hangouts on Air and is available at youtube.com/Devin Thorpe. Subscribe to this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes by searching for Your Mark on the World. Every weekday, Devin hosts a CEO, celebrity, entrepreneur, or other changemaker here on the Your Mark on the World show to inspire and prepare you to make your mark. Devin is a champion of social good, writing about, advocating for, and advising people who are doing good. He is a Forbes contributor who is a recognized thought leader in social entrepreneurship, impact investing, and crowdfunding. To book Devin as a speaker, visit devinthorpe.com. Learn more about Devin's work at yourmarkontheworld.com.